William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
We're so pleased that you're here, but I want you to understand and know that you're about to experience an historic experience. We're about to have something that hasn't been seen before, and it will hopefully enlighten our knowledge, open up our eyes, and let us be open to what we're about to receive. At this time, we're going to follow the program, and Mr. Leo Hassan, and I understand Mr. Bandi is not here today, but he will follow through with the libation for us.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out to this monumental event. What I'm about to share right now is a ceremony, and it's actually a ritual, and it's called libation. Some of you are familiar, hopefully many of you may be familiar with libation, but for those of you who are not, what it is, as I said, it's a ritual where we are honoring those who have passed on before us. And when we are involved with this ritual, we have representation of the earth, Mother Earth, and the soil. And when we pour libation, we are making an offering to the ancestors. Sometimes we are using liquor. In this case, we are using water. So as I pour libation, when you hear me say Ibaye, I just want you to repeat Ibaye. We pour libation to Omi Tutu. May these waters be cool and refreshed. Ibaye? Ibaye. Una Tutu. May our path be cool and refreshed. Ibaye? Ibaye. Ile Tutu. May our homes, our dwellings be cool and refreshed. Ibaye? Ibaye. Tutu le roye. May a calm messenger precede all of our prayers. Ibaye? Ibaye. We pour libation in remembrance of the many, many millions who perished during the dreadful Middle Passage from Africa to the Caribbean to the Americas to Europe. Ibaye? Ibaye. We pour libation in remembrance of those many countless who were brutalized, hung, lynched, imprisoned, and who perished with their memories to live on forever. Ibaye? Ibaye. We pour libation to the many millions who were victims of the scourge of drug abuse and poisons to our community. Ibaye? Ibaye. And we pour libation to our mothers and our fathers and our grandmothers and our grandfathers and all of our heritage lineage who names we know and may not know, but they live on through us forever. Ibaye? Ibaye. Ibaye? Ibaye. Ibaye? Ibaye. Abeo.
Thank you, Brother Hassan. First of all, I'd like to give a brief overview of the Black Power movement. Also, talk about just briefly where we've come from with the Black Power movement as well. The Black Power movement was a revolutionary movement that occurred in the 1960s and the 1970s. It emphasized racial pride, economic empowerment, and the creation of political and cultural institutions. During this era, there was a rise in the demand for Black history courses, a greater embrace of African culture, and a spread of raw artistic expressions displaying the realities of the African American. The origin of the term Black Power varies. Its roots can be traced to author Richard Wright's nonfiction work, Black Power, published in 1954. And in 1965, the largest county in Alabama, Freedom Organization, better known as LCFO, used the slogan, Black Power for Black People, for its political candidates. But it was not until 1966 when Black Power made it into the mainstream. During the Meredith March Against Fear in Mississippi, Students Nonviolent Coordinating, the SNCC, also known as SNCC, the Chairman Stokely Carmichael rallied marches by chanting, "We want Black Power, we want Black Power." The Black Power movement was one of struggles on many fronts. On every level of Black life within Black communities, folks were engaged in the fight for Black power, Black consciousness, and self-determination. Every sector of the Black community was represented. There was a strong thread, a living element aspects of Black consciousness and self-determination. For an example, within the church religious community, the National Committee of Negro Chairmen, the NCNC, which was formally organized in Dallas, Texas in November of 1967, spoke about the role of the pulpit in the era of Black Power. What the churches can do to support and advance the struggle and the economic side. A new nation movement launched by the National Black Economic Development Conference in Detroit, Michigan in 1969 with the Black Economic Manifesto calling for reparations. This evening, we can only provide you with an overview of the rich collective experience within Dallas Black Power's movement in 1965 through 1975. We'll hear reflections from several key components of Dallas's Black Power movement. There will be several experiences highlighted today. Each are asked to give us an essential taste, an abbreviated reflection of the objects, experience, and accomplishments. Since this exhibit ends in June, we aspire for our legacies to continue through a Speakers Bureau. We will implement and organize Speakers Bureau where theirs and others, individuals and entities will be available for ongoing in-depth discussions and conversations. Then we'll have more time to focus on any aspects or elements of the vast scope of the Black Power movement in schools, communities, centers, churches, and civic clubs. Now you will hear directly engaged and in the following order. First of all, we will have reflections on Black Panther Party will be made by Akeem Fanso. Following him will be a summary of the Black Women's United Front by Diane Ragsdale. And I'm not sure if, I don't see the next person, which would be Ms. Irma Hall. Is she here? She's not here. Also, we'll have the international scope of Black Power movement through the work of African Liberation Front, which will be provided, us by Leo Hassan. Okay, the activities of the high school and the school college students in Dallas and throughout the North Texas will be delivered by Charles Hillman, and the daring, risk, and uplifting action within the Texas State Federal Prison will be Charles Beasley. And the works of Dallas's Students Nonviolent Coordinating Committee will be shared by Ernest McMillan. Okay, at this time, we will have the introduction of the Black Power Legacy Archives project. by Sultana Best from the Dallas Public Library.
Thank you and welcome everyone. It's a rainy day, so I appreciate everyone coming out and supporting us and supporting the Dallas Black Power Legacy Project. I met Ernest a little over a year ago, and it was with his passion for trying to get the movement active and the word out, and with his connections and meeting everyone, I'm just very grateful for the collections that have been donated to the Dallas Public Library. So this is just a brief introduction to the collections that we have now at this department. The main collection is the Dallas Black Power Legacy Project collection, focusing on 1965 to 1975. These are donations from individuals who were active in that moment, and they include photographs, newspapers, original documentation, and correspondences. And this is just a one-of-a-kind collection. The library is, in my opinion, the best place for this because it is the mission, I think, also of the organization to allow these materials to be public and used by the public and seen by the public and shared. So you can see we've got organizations represented such as the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the Black Panther Party, some of the Black arts movements, the Black Women's United Front, and the United Defense for Political Prisoners, and there's many others. This is a smaller collection, so there's hopes that this won't take too long to process. Since I'm the archivist, it's kind of my main function to go through these materials, make sure they're organized and easily accessible for the public to come in and conduct research, and also use them for publications or educational purposes. And I think it's also with the hope of the partnering with the Dallas Black Power Legacy Project that we can hope for future exhibits and partnerships, of course, with other organizations to share the material. So we hope to collaborate continuously. And this collection is stunning. We're very grateful for this collection to be added. It's the Alan Levy Lipscomb collection. Over 25 boxes have been donated, so this is a very large collection, and I plan on partnering with the archivist at the City of Dallas, his name's John Slate, to assist in the processing of this. And so a lot of the documents include city documents, legal material, photographs, a lot of wonderful photographs, scrapbooks, letters, and most of the collection ranges from the early 1960s to the present. So we have wonderful material of him as well, and we hope to, again, continue to work with the collection and make it accessible to the public. And this one's very special to me as well. I met the daughters of Fahim Minka a little after I met Ernest, and the wonderful family trusted the library with his material, and we have his writings, which are beautiful, and they're just wonderful to go through and see his thoughts and how he saw the future of Dallas. So it's a really nice collection. It also includes his original correspondences, letters, writings he did, photographs, and a lot of the times he was behind the scenes. So there's not as many photographs as you really would want, but it's the writings and the community organization that he was so involved in that you can really see in this collection. So this is another medium-sized collection that we hope to finish within the year. And that's pretty much it, just a brief rundown of the collections, but I again just wanted to thank everyone for their support and for coming out, and I am beyond grateful for being a part of this wonderful opportunity, so thank you very much.
While they're getting ready, I'll give you a little information about Soul Rep Theater. Are they coming now? Okay. Soul Rep was founded 22 years ago by Dallas-Fort Worth natives Gwenda Burnett Price, Aniga Macmillan Herrera, and Tanya Holloway, who considered themselves daughters of the Black arts movement. The company will close its 12 seasons next month with a regional premiere production of Katari Hall's Hurt Village, a gritty play about gentrification at the South Dallas Cultural Center. The company has 52 productions under its belt, including 10 new plays festivals. Soul Rep is committed to transforming lives and communities through the power and craft of the theater that enlightens the imagination, the spirit, and the soul. Please enjoy this riveting excerpt from the company's recent production of Pearl Cleake's Bourbon at the Border, a play set in Detroit in 1994, 30 years after the Freedom Summer that transformed former civil rights activists Mae and Charlie Thompson's lives forever. The scene will feature Renee, Michael, and Contessa Irene. Enjoy.
Where do you think Charlie is?
I don't know.
How could that paper have gotten down there?
I don't know.
Well, he'll come home. won't he?
I don't know. I don't know.
I gotta ask you. Do you think he did it?
Don't. No.
I don't believe you.
Then get out of my house.
No, I won't. They think Tyrone did it. He's a suspect.
They don't know who it is.
This ain't a game, mate.
He's sick.
He's killing people.
It's not true.
He's killing innocent people.
He's an innocent person.
Not anymore. Can't you see that? Not anymore.
Rose! You're my best friend. I need you to be my best friend.
We gotta call the police, honey. Ain't no getting around this.
He can't go to jail. You don't understand. He's been to jail.
That was wrong. But this is wrong too.
You don't understand.
Make me understand. Huh?
We were young, Rose. We were just babies. And we've been out all day trying to get people to go down to the courthouse and register to vote. Didn't get a single one. All day long, trudging up to these little old houses, hoping somebody was home. Some of the people were so scared when they realized who we were and what we were talking about that they just ran in the house and slammed the door. So we were tired and discouraged. And it was a long walk back to the Hemp Hills. And it was already starting to get dark. And I knew we needed to hurry, but I just wanted to sit for just a minute and catch my breath. So we walked a little ways off the road and sat down. And Charlie put his arm around me. But I was too tired and scared and evil, and I just sat there. So he started talking to me about how important it was for us to be in Mississippi and how much he loved me and how he was going to tell our children about how brave their mama was. So I just kind of leaned in a bit He started kissing me. We just forgot everything. It was just a minute. I know it wasn't more than a minute. And then they came, shining their flashlights in our faces. And they took us to the jail. The sheriff and 2 deputies. They locked the front door, they locked the back door, and then they took us down into the basement. First, I thought they were just trying to scare us. Because they had made this white girl play Russian roulette a couple of days ago until she just broke down and started begging them to just let her go home. So I was demanding for them to let us see our lawyer. Until they got mad and told me to shut up. And so I did. Then they told Charlie. They told Charlie they had a choice for him. They told him that he could beat me for having such a smart mouth, or he could watch while they finished what he started by the side of the road. Charlie kept trying to talk to them, telling them that if they just let us go, we wouldn't press charges, but they laughed at that. Asked him if he'd seen any FBI agents around lately and telling him to choose, but he wouldn't. And finally, they said, okay, I guess this nigga want us to show him how it's done. So one of the deputies told me to take off my clothes. Charlie, he said, stop, don't touch her, I'll do it. I begged him not to. I didn't care what they did to me. But I was in love with Sweet Charles. I was so in love with Charles. He was the only man I'd ever had. The other deputy, he took off his belt and he gave it to Charlie and I know what he meant to do was to pretend and not hurt me. I know that. But they knew it too and they wouldn't let him. They made him hit me harder and harder. And so I just started screaming, thinking that they were going to let him stop, but they wouldn't. They just said, you go on, nigga. We'll tell you when to stop. They made him beat me almost half to death. And then, that one who told me to take off my clothes, he pulled my dress over my head and did it anyway. They all did it anyway, right in front of Charlie. I knew that already. That's what I was trying to tell him. I don't care. I don't care what they do to me. And not you. I can't take it from you. I went home after that. father came to get me. I was hurt so bad that I couldn't stay if I wanted to, which I didn't. My mom and my aunts and my father, they all went crazy. I thought that they would tell me how sorry they were. I thought they would hold my hand and put a cold towel to my head, but that wasn't it. That wasn't what they wanted to do at all. They came to fuss. Came to tell me about how dumb I was for going there in the first place and how I should have kept my behind at home where it belonged. Nobody even wanted to look at me. I was living proof of something so terrible. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Instead, they just got mad. My grandmother was the only one that didn't say anything. She would just come in there and sit down by me in the dark. I'd wake up and I'd hear her crying. Oh, maybe she heard me crying too. My father, he was so mad that he wouldn't even talk to me at all. My mother kept telling me about how it was killing him to know that somebody had beat his baby worse than he would beat a dog, and wasn't nothing he could do about it. Kept trying to tell her yes it was. What he could do was come in and hold me. What he could do was tell me how much he loved me. And how wasn't nobody ever gonna do that to me again. I decided not to go back to school. I didn't see no point in it. Not just in school, but no point in anything. I just kept trying to get my mind around what had happened, but I couldn't. It just didn't make any sense. What they had done, what they were still doing. Charlie, he would call me a lot. I know it was hard for him, but he did it. My mama, she thought he was going to try to talk me into going back, so she'd just tell him I was asleep. But I'd hear that phone ring and pick it up before she could hang up. Neither one of us knew what to say to each other. We just hold the phone. Then he'd ask me how I was doing, and I'd say better. I'd ask him how he was doing. He'd lie and say okay. And we'd just sort of hold on. Till one of us would start crying, and then we'd hang up. But one night, I got this call from one of the other volunteers telling me that Charlie had been arrested again by the same ones that picked us up before. Except for this time, they took him down to Parchment. Took him to Parchment Prison. I just prayed for him. I didn't know what else to do. Then she called me about 2 weeks later, said they'd gotten him out, but that his leg had been broken in 3 places, and that he was in the hospital in Jackson. They took him to Parchment and held him there for 2 weeks, and they did everything they could think of to him, and never charged him for anything. That night I left for Mississippi. When I got to the hospital and I walked in, he reached for me like a man that was drowning. So I just took his hand and I told him I wasn't going to ever let it go. Thought we were going to die in that room. But we didn't. When Charlie was well enough, we came on up here. But his family, they didn't know what to do with him any more than mine knew what to do with me. So we just got married. Found this place and decided to hole up here trying to make sense of it all. Charlie, he used to say we were like desperados, drinking bourbon on the border, planning our getaway. Except that we couldn't figure out how to talk about what had happened to us in Mississippi. We couldn't find no way to talk around it either. So we just hoped that it would go away. But it just got bigger and scarier and bigger and scarier until Charlie couldn't even touch me without crying. Hey. And when we got back, so many of us just broke down, went crazy, started doing all kinds of drugs. We were so destroyed, Rose. And we don't even realize it until something really awful happens. And then we say, oh my God, was I that messed up? With nobody to talk to tell what happened, how it felt. Everybody wants to talk about how brave you were, but don't nobody want to talk about how scared you were. How you screamed so loud until you lost your voice, and how you just kept trying to close your mind so that you could be someplace else, any place else, but there. What happens if they don't kill you? What happens if all that stuff heals up everything except for your heart, and you just can't believe that it ever happened? Because if it ever happened, wouldn't it have changed the world forever?
It did change the world forever.
Did it?
You always talk about what happened to Charlie. But May, whatever happened to you?
I survived. He didn't.
That don't make it right.
Oh, nothing makes it right.
Sorry.
Sorry? Sorry for what? You sorry that Charlie is so messed up? You sorry that they hurt me so bad that I'll never have his babies? Are you sorry that they took our whole life in one mean Mississippi summer? Oh, no. Maybe you sorry because Tyrone won't get to be partner and you won't get to help him run his business so he won't get taken to the cleaners.
That's not fair.
Where were you? Where were you when it was time to change the world? Where the fuck were you, Rose? Sister. Contessa.
Thank you. What a wonderful group. Wonderful presentation that we have. Let's hear it for Soul Rep. Now, at this time, since I've introduced all of the speakers and the presenters earlier, we're just going to let them walk through their part. I understand that Brother Hassan is going to do a space for the Black Arts Movement. Is that correct?
Yeah, but right now, let us do the tribute to the warriors of the Black Power movement.
Okay, that's what we're doing. Tribute to the warriors of the Black Power movement. You ready?
First of all, can we all just take a deep breath? I had the opportunity to see this production last month, and it was so breathtaking and emotional and real. For those of you who are familiar with what activists went through during this period of time. So what I'm going to do at this point right now, I'm going to call out the names of our warriors locally. People who, and I'm going to tell you, this is going to be kind of emotional for me because many of these friends were very dear to me. When I came here, gosh, I hate to say this, a half a century ago, next year, fresh out of high school. Diana, I hate to tell your age, but she was one of my first friends in the movement. We worked at Operation Breadbasket together. And the names that I'm about to call off, these were our teachers. These were those who inspired me. Some of them who I became very close with, when I do like this, just understand it's going to be like a chill running through me. But this is a celebration. This is really not a memorial. I want everybody to remember this. This is a celebration of the Black Power movement and those who dedicated themselves to uplifting Dallas and the nation and even the world. When I call out names, if the relatives of those names I call out, I would like them to stand to recognize them, as we honor the families as well as we honor the individuals. Let me start with a short poem to honor all of the revolutionaries. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It's better to die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It's better to die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Blessed are those who courted death, who offered their lives to give, and dared to rebel rather than serve, to die so that we may live. Blessed are the memories of those who were there at that Harper's Ferry raid. Strong were their hearts, noble their cause, great was the price that they paid. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It's better to die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Blessed are the memories of those who were there at that Harper's Ferry raid. Blessings to all who join us now in this struggle for life and death, so that freedom and peace may be more than just words to these offspring that we have left. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It's better to die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Everybody put your fists up in there. All power to the people. All power to the people. As I call out these names, they will also appear on the screen. And if relatives of any of those who are here, I would like you to please stand so we can recognize you as well. And when you hear this, I'm going to holler out Ibaye, and I want you to repeat Ibaye, because these are folks who are very dear to me. I miss them dearly, but these revolutionaries, these leaders, these community activists, they live on through all of us. So they're not dead. They're not in the ground. Their spirits are dancing. They're in this room with us, and they continue to inspire us. Felton Alexander, Norris Bates,
Present.
Othello Beck.
Present.
Ibaye.
Ibaye.
Honorable Louis Bedford.
Present.
Dr. Marion Jack Brooks.
Present.
Newland Fleming.
Present.
Nelwyn. I say Nelwyn Fleming. Honorable Kathleen Gilliam. Ibaye. Mary Green.
Present.
Edward Tex Harris. Ibaye. Jackie Harris. Khalif Hassan, a.k.a. Charlie Paul Henderson. Ibaye. Honorable Elsie Faye Higgins.
Present.
Bishop Mark Herbener.
Present.
Frank Hernandez.
Present.
Reverend Marshall Hodge.
Present.
J.B. Jackson.
Present.
Ibaye.
Ibaye.
Ruth Jefferson.
Present.
Ibaye.
Ibaye.
Eva Johnson.
Present.
I'm gonna slow it down a little bit so we can catch up. How's that? Rhythm. Can I dance a little bit? This is a celebration, y'all. Text. Clark Johnson.
Present.
Ibaye.
Ibaye.
Matthew Johnson. Ibaye. Karaoke na Uhuru, aka Chief Ifayomi Benra. Ibaye. Another dear friend, the name alone just gives me chills because we were so close. And members of family are here. Sister Imani Pamoja. Ibaye. Honorable Albert Louis Lipscomb, my mentor, my teacher. Francisco Pancho Medrano Sr.,
Present.
another one of my teachers. Ibaye. Olga May Rayburn.
Yes, sir.
Ibaye. Brilliant poet, activist, revolutionary. We worked together with the original Uhuru family. Brother Elihu Smith. Ibaye.
Ibaye.
The next name, Brother Bill Subabu Stoner. Can I get Ibaye? That's real revolutionary.
Oh, yeah.
Revolutionary act. Another dear friend, Donald Ray Williams. We knew him as Kwesi Williams. Ibaye! Thank you for being here. Those in the party, we call them Doo-Doo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Henry Woods. John Henry Woods. Ibaye!
Ibaye.
Yusef Yeldell. Ibaye!
Ibaye.
Brent LaSalle Stein. Ibaye!
Ibaye.
One of my professors at Bishop College, Reverend Dr. Charles Hunter. Ibaye!
Ibaye.
And I got to mention another good friend and revolutionary of Dallas. We lost him last year. Brother Dick Gregory. Ibaye! Can't forget another friend of Dallas, Brother Muhammad Ali. Ibaye! Once again, can I get folks to raise their fists in the air? All power to the people. Once again, all power to the people. This is a celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you missed a number of them. That's right.
You want to call those names that we missed.
If I miss some names, call them out.
Now's the time.
Charlotte Ragsdale.
Y'all right there. It's up there.
Fahim Minka.
Fahim Minka.
Minka.
Family's here too.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Marsho Aisha Oni, aka Linda Lewis.
Anyone else?
Shirley McFadden.
Shirley McFadden.
Marshall Ivory.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, when you hear your name called, I would like to ask that these people come to the chairs that we have here in the front for you. And we're gonna start off with, let's see, Hakeem Funso. Diane Ragsdale. Neil Hassan. Charles Hillman. Charles Beasley. And Mr. Ernest Macmillan. Will you come in? Is there anyone else that I left off that may not be listed? At this time, we're going to hear a presentation from individual and personal aspect of the Black Power movement. Power to the people.
Okay. I want to hear everybody say this. All power to the people.
To the people.
My name is Aki Ntunde Funsho, and I joined the Black Panther Party through James Shockley, Anquinette Simeon, and other members of the Denton branch in 1971. There were 4 phases of the party, and I only have, I think, 5 minutes? So what I'd like to do is just as quickly as possible go through this. After they took Ernie Fahim, Matthew Johnson, Charles Beasley, and Quincy Williams off the streets, there was a vacuum left. And so members of SNCC that remained contacted Oakland and asked that there be a Black Panther Party recognized in Dallas, Texas. I think his name, there was 2 of them, Ed Black Harris, Eddie, aka Nigger Ed Harris. They were twins. Leroy Haynes, Charlie Paul Henderson, also known as Khalif Hassan, Leo Haynes, Skip Shockley, Odinga, Kamboy. Y'all have to forgive me, I'm legally blind, and I don't know why I wrote something anyway. Anyway, John Harris, Norris Batts, Don Red Dog Luster, a sister named Phoebe, a sister named Ginger, a sister named Brenda Edwards, Curtis Gaines, and Roscoe Harris were the original members of the National Committee to Combat Fascism of the Black Panther Party in Dallas. Okay, we got that done. After Geronimo G. Jaga came to Dallas to supervise the National Committee to Combat Fascism, he was arrested and the Dallas branch was expelled because they said someone within the Dallas branch had gave him up. But after that, there was what they call El Centro College cadre. There wasn't that many people. It was Skip Shockley, Anise and Janice Lewis, also known as the twins, Paula Ransom, Malik Anderson, and Carl Austin. They were doing breakfast programs, pest control programs. There's another thing I'm forgetting, but I'm old. I'm 68. I can't forget. It's okay. And after that, they merged different organizations across Texas. There was a guy Leroy Haynes, Skip Shockley, and Bernie Smith. They merged a lot of this black student unions and went to Denton and started the Black Intercommunal Party, where they also did breakfast for school children, study groups for the children after school, and other programs of the Black Panther Party. I went to Houston, and when I came back, the Denton had shut down, and a brother named, they call him Boko now, asked me to come to reestablish a party in Dallas, and so I went to Skip, and Skip said he'd help me, and then other brothers said they helped me, because see, I was the baby as far as Panthers was concerned. I was the last guy that they had recruited before they shut down. Anyway, after everything got organized, Fahim was chosen as the coordinator of the Black Panther Party in Dallas. And man, before I say anything else, I want to call his name, and I want, what is that you said?
Ibaye.
Ibaye. I got to call this brother's name. This brother in Lip got me in drug treatment because I went, the New York 21 wrote a book called Look for Me in the Whirlwind. And Lip and Fahim pulled me out of the whirlwind. They and Skip Shockley were my leaders. And so that should be about 5 minutes because I don't feel that comfortable. I'm kind of nervous up here anyway. Y'all, the people that know me know I don't know how to talk real good in front of a whole bunch of people. So Diane probably gonna say in a minute, I can't even time up, sit down.
No, no.
But the bottom line is that we built, I don't use profanity anymore, but we built a Maryland farmer in Dallas as far as the struggle is concerned. I'm serious as a heart attack, man. We did some stuff. Me and Charles Hillman coalesced with some brothers. We wasn't supposed to be Panthers and Muslims were supposed to be like, oil and water. Me and Charles Hillman coalesced with some of the brothers in the Nation of Islam, some of the brothers in the karaoke was a cultural nationalist. We wasn't supposed to be dealing with them people. We put a play together called From Africa to a Bicentennial, and Jay Ruffin, who was the anchor for Channel 4 News, he said he had been to the Bolshoi, he had been to them plays in Paris, and he had not seen nothing like a choreo poem From Africa to a Bicentennial. And from that, Charles Hillman became one of the greatest unknown actors I've ever met. We just did stuff. We worked with Lip. We took over a radio station. Y'all call it KNON now. But back then it was called KCHU. We took it over for the people. And Dan, did you sit down now?
No.
I got to keep talking?
You can sit down when you want to.
Okay, thank you.
I got to mention, this brother has lost 30 pounds since we seen him. I just got, look at this.
Looking good, baby.
Brother Ernie preferred for us. I didn't realize that to use this given mic.
You want me to start off?
No, sir. Well, my name is Diane Ragsdale, and I've really come to represent the Black Women's United Front movement. Let me introduce some sisters who are here who were certainly members of the Black Women's United Front. Mama Mac. All right. Raise up your hand. Kathy McMillan. Jackie McMillan. If we have any other members, would you please just let me know? The Black Women's United Front was established in really the mid-70s, in particular 74, 73, in that time, during that time period. And really it was established as an institution that was anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, and anti-sexist.
Right on.
Food co-op.
And so that's correct. And so we had our core values and guiding principles. And so we would create programs, as Charles just indicated, one of which was the food co-op. And we would create programs to, like the food co-op, to kind of promote and perpetrate our values. And so a food co-op is about collective economics. It's not about selfishness and greed. It's about sharing and caring. And so we were members of the Dallas local Black United Front. Black Women's United Front was a member of People Buying Together, PBT. And we had about 26, 27 organizations that bought fresh produce together. And matter of fact, we went to a weekly warehouse over there near Methodist, and we had to rotate to buy, but you had to order on Wednesday, and then you would purchase the food on Saturday morning, and then we would distribute such to the organizations, and then the organizations would distribute to its members. And so the food co-op, because we believed in collective economics, that was a good example of such. The other issue that was that we addressed working with others was the feminization of poverty. And they're still relevant today, that for the most part, poverty, most poor people are women. Single women with children. And so we could not rule that out. And so we had our base really at the church of Mount Lutheran, Mount Olive Lutheran Church, excuse me. And so Bishop Hurd, as a matter of fact, he was one of our warriors who was lifted up, and on Martin Luther King. And so one of the things that we had to kind of, because the feminization of poverty is a large issue, am I right? And so we in essence established a movement for affordable housing, in particular for tenants' rights, because we noticed that a number of our women were just being evicted. And so we established a movement to should I say minimize that, in particular working with the Justice of the Peace, the J.P. Cleo Steele, and in essence went to court as advocates with them. And so we recognize that if you don't have affordable, decent housing, you don't really have a stable life. That's right. And so that was that's the core. And so therefore we moved forward to address that. What we recognize, we simply, study is in order for the organization to be important, study was critical to its success.
Yes.
And so we consistently would study. If we said that we were anti-capitalist or anti-imperialist or anti-sexist, then what's the other model? And so we were looking at things to, what can we do to ensure that we all enjoy a decent standard of living? And because that's not what's happening right today. That didn't happen then, it doesn't happen now. And so what system, we were looking for a system that could help us promote, as I indicated, decent standard of living. So we would say, well, if the model over here is A, for example, the traditional model that exists right now, then what other model could be over here that could be better? Because we knew that we had to see things in a tangible way. And that's why the food co-op was so very important, because people could say, you know what, I don't mind buying together with others because it reduces the cost. And it promotes a sense of social gathering and and coming together and working with each other.
Yes, yes.
And so, therefore, we were consistently working with models that could, that promoted togetherness. And that's why the huge organization was called PBT. So that also was a part of helping us to address the feminization of poverty, as well as, like I said, working together to address the issue of these unjust evictions. And that's why we appeared in court many times with the sisters who were experiencing that. The other thing that we were consistently working, which is, this is why we ongoing, you gotta really protect your victories, because because we made some gains with others in the area of police abuse, but certainly there has been a regression.
Yes.
And although there's a movement now to promote a strong civilian review board, but my point though, there was progress working with People United for Justice for Prisoners, Black Women's United Front, working together against police abuse and also for prison reform. And so, and Brother Beasley will talk more about prison reform, but I do believe, but that was one of our issues as well. And so housing was one of our issues, and in general, the feminization of poverty, creating programs to uplift and to promote and perpetrate our philosophy, and also police abuse. Now we did get involved in the, because during that era, you had the desegregation struggle, and while there was, ongoing struggle and conflict regarding that situation, but we did get involved in it, and worked as with others as the segregation monitors. And so if you said that the school supposedly was to be desegregated, well, is it? And so we worked to do that. Yes, ma'am. And so, and finally, because I'm getting the tie up and sit down, so finally, and finally, we were active with voter registration, voter education. Thank you so very much, power to the people.
Hug the sister. Is that all right, brother? All right. I was just getting a little jealous.
And this is an indication too. You only had a few sisters in the movement.
That's right.
Okay, right.
But listen, the sisters that were in the movement, they were no joke.
Oh no. Did not play.
Yes. Irma Hall is not here right now, so let me share a few words on the Black Arts Movement and how it morphed to empower the Black Power movement here in Dallas and actually nationwide. And there was a reason why, I'm sorry, there was a reason why Fahim Minka and Charlotte Ragsdale might have slipped my mind, because I'm giving them a little special mention. I guess they working through me. Every time I saw Diane Ragsdale, the first thing she would say to me, brother, all power to the people. So let me hear y'all say, all power to the people.
All power to the people.
Every time I would see Fahim Minka, the first thing that he would say to me, and I would like the family to please stand up one more time.
Yeah.
Please.
Right on, right on. Yeah.
Once again, all power to the people.
All power to the people.
And when we would have our cultural events, whether it would be the Harambe Festival, the early Malcolm X festivals, the very first Malcolm X festival here in Dallas was 1971. Diane and I were proud to be a part of organizing that. And El Centro students, Bishop College students, various theater groups, they would come together to lift us all up, to educate us through the arts. I'm a child of the Black Arts Movement from New York City. I came here, as I mentioned earlier, I came here as a teenager to go to college, but I was greatly influenced as a young person by the Black theater movement in the East Coast.
Oh yeah,
We had the National Black Theater. We had Olatunji's African Drummers and Dancers. We had the arts movement in New York and Philadelphia and Detroit. They empowered the Black Power movement all over the country, probably all over the world, as I would dare to say. But the arts was very, very important. We had, here in Dallas at that time, we had the African American Artists Alliance. I was very proud to be a part of the Uhuru family. Uhuru family, they gave performances all across the city, and the theme was Black nationalism, empowerment to the young people, and education. Because it was education, as the sisters shared with us earlier, there is the power of education and enlightenment in theater. So theater has always been very important. The Omari African Drummers and Dancers, I helped to organize them. We were Bishop College students. And I was greatly influenced and a student of Baba Olatunji, Chuck Davis, Baba Ishangi, Dr. Pearl Primus, Catherine, Catherine Dunham. I'm sorry. You said, yes. Thank you.
You can't hear it either.
Yeah, I couldn't hear. Listen, you and I are the same age, losing our hearing. Where's your hearing aid? But at the same time, around the same time, brother by the name of Bobby Norman, he came together to organize the very first cultural center here in Dallas, revolving around the Black arts. It was called the Culture Gallery Workshop. This was 1972. The Culture Gallery Workshop was we put together plays. This was the home base of the Uhuru family, and also this is the first time I met our local historian, the great Mr. Donald Payton. Donald Payton walked in trying to sell some books. He had a stack of books by this brother we ain't never heard of him before, named B. Rap Hardeman. And he was trying to get us to buy this guy's books from out of Atlanta. We didn't know who he was, but he invented the computer mouse. The brilliant cat, but we didn't know who he was. We wasn't going to buy his books, but Donald Payton, with the gift of gab and salesmanship, we wound up buying all his books.
Yeah, he know how to talk.
He know how to talk, doesn't he? So we also had the home base of the Culture Gallery Workshop was the AAAW. The AAAW was the Association of Advancing Artists and Writers. This is where I had met Irma Hall, and also Othello Beck, and Ellie Hugh Smith. This was a collective of artists, poets, painters, visual artists who were dedicated to uplifting the community through educating them with the arts, inspiration with the arts. Othello Beck became a good friend of mine because Beck didn't talk a lot, but those who knew him, he was very, very passionate with. So those people who don't have a lot of friends, you know, the few friends that they have, extremely close. Right? So around the same time, there was a great movement, and I'm morphing with the African Liberation movement, also the Black Arts and African Liberation movement. There was a powerful movement on the continent of Africa for the liberation of all of the colonies, so to speak. Keep in mind, for those of us who are 60 plus, the majority of the African nations found their liberation. They got their independence during this period, during the late 50s, throughout the 60s, into the early 70s. So we here in Dallas, we wanted to be a part of that powerful movement to send support to the African continent. However we could. We raised money, we sold buttons, we sold t-shirts. The African Liberation Support Committee was very instrumental in helping to honor those the brothers and sisters, the freedom fighters in Africa. So once again, Before I sit down, can I get everybody to put their fist in the air? All power to the people. All power to the people. I said it. You want to help me out? Yeah, help me out. We just fooling.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
I'd simply want to just acknowledge all the student movement, Bishop College, SMU, El Centro.
Yeah.
Myself went to Thomas Jefferson. I'm going to give you my autobiography now. Actually, I'm going to be very brief. Most of us joined the movement in high school or in college.
That's right.
It was a student movement.
Yes, it
It was a movement that encouraged people to read and to study
That's good.
and put things in perspective. And I'd like to just acknowledge their contribution and the young brothers here who are involved
Yes,
in the
yes,
new
yes.
wave,
Yes, yes.
who are involved actively in community development. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my dear friend, and I'm very honored to be on this panel, Mr. Charles Beasley.
All right.
Right. That's Fahim's partner.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
I'm not going to take a lot of your time. First, I'd like to tell you something about me.
Okay.
And I'm a country boy. I was born in a little town called Rossa, Texas, where they picked cotton and did everything black people did on the farm. And I left here and I went to San Francisco. I went to Pelton Junior High School in San Francisco. I left San Francisco and went to Berkeley. And I went to Burbank Junior High in Berkeley. Then I came back to Texas. That trip kind of enlightened me a little bit and made me start to think. One of the things I saw in California was the freedom movement, free speech movement, what it was. I seen these kids go down University Boulevard every day and get arrested every day. And I said to myself, why? You know, why you want to go to jail every day? But I understood they believed in something. So, so when I came back here, I saw it was necessary to believe in something.
Yes.
And so I started looking for people who were like me, who wanted to believe in something, or believed in something and trying to find fellow travelers.
Yes, yes.
And I run across Ernest McMillan, but before I run across Ernie, I run across some guys at SMU. I was working at SMU in the kitchen. For black people working at SMU in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the white kids had a thing going on called Free A.Rap Brown. A.Rap Brown that got arrested going across state line with a rifle or something like that. So I got involved in that. And I made a statement at an Old South Day at SMU. And what I said was, on Old South, they put on the Confederate uniforms, they march and they make slave speeches and all this. I said, well, why don't I just organize me a mile march?
Yeah.
The next day I came to work, the sheriff picked me up and took me to the nut house in Parkland. And I was told by a judge downtown never go back to SMU. But anyway, after that, I joined SNCC, and I was kind of like a falling star. You know, comes out real bright and it fades away. And that was in the 60s. I hijacked the airplane. I went to prison in Canada. In Canada, I met some of the most nicest guys you ever want to meet. From the Palestinian Liberation Front, from the Eritrean Liberation Front, and the FLQ.
Good.
And we studied together. When I left there and I came back here, I had to go to federal prison, Leavenworth. And prison at that time was quite different than prison today. The movement had an effect on prisoners in that day.
Yeah.
I don't care if you were a Karenga person or a Panther person or a Martin Luther King person. We all were together. When I mean together, we organized together, we studied together, we ate together, we slept together. We did everything together because we were prisoners.
Yes, yes.
And we had one enemy. Now, that enemy was the government and the uniform.
Yeah.
So everything was clearly defined. There was no confusion. You know, you knew which side you were on and you knew which side you had to be with when trouble came. So we organized political study groups. We organized basic reading classes. We had everything that you could think of for education. We had guys who couldn't read, so we had other guys teaching them how to read. And we had a track record. We could get a guy a GED from being illiterate through getting a GED in 18 months.
Yes, yes.
And we had guys that were in college getting A's and bachelors and masters. And this was much easier to do then than it is now.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
One of the reasons it was easier to do is because there was a Pell Grant. And every prisoner could use that Pell Grant. And so we encouraged prisoners to use the Pell Grant. At the same time, we organized for better pay, for better conditions in prison, for whatever we had a grievance against, we organized for it.
Yes.
We had underground newspapers. We agitated in every way we could. We believed that the warden shouldn't have a comfortable day.
That's right. That's right.
He should wake up every morning with a work. That's what we believed, and that's what we tried to do. And so, as a consequence of that, I was transferred. I was transferred to Terre Haute back to Leavenworth. I spent 5 days in Texarkana. I went to Texarkana and I went and turned the TV. And so inmate come and told us, you can't turn the TV. I just looked at him. I said, who made that rule? And he didn't say nothing, you know. But he went and told somebody, I don't know. But anyway, they came and they locked me in the hole. And so I was in the hole, and the warden came down there and asked me, he says, why did you shoot at that policeman? And I told the warden, I said, it's instinct, man. Whenever you threaten me, I got to fight back.
Yeah, yeah.
So I ain't got to think about it, it's instinct. The warden said, you can't stay here. And back in Leavenworth I went. And in Leavenworth was, you know, they got Fort Leavenworth, the military. Does everybody remember Jonestown?
Yeah.
Well, the colonel that was sent by the government to clean up Jonestown was a black guy. He was a black colonel. And he was part of military intelligence at Leavenworth, and he taught at the military college. And he used to come into the prison all the time just to figure out how the government would have to deal with us at the prison if there was a rebellion, you know. And but so that I didn't stay at Leavenworth that long. I got transferred to Marion. Marion was what they call a level 6. Marion was the replacement for Alcatraz. There was only 400 men in Marion, and those 400 men was supposed to have been. The government creates fiction. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Those 400 men were supposed to have been the worst 400 guys in prison in the United States, but that was a lie. You know, it was basically if you agitated politically, you were sent there. You didn't have to be no killer or no tough guy. Just if you knew what you were doing and knew what you were talking about, and you were sent there. Marion was a place where they tried to design a program to modify and control political dissent, outside and inside. You know, they had us inside, so they would use us as guinea pigs, but it didn't work. You know, we had one of the most sophisticated organizations I've ever seen in Marion. We had the Marion Collective. The Marion Collective consisted of about 13 guys, and we had influence on everything that went down in Marion. We had control of the religious agenda. We had control of most of the education agenda. All the events that took place in Marion, we had a predominant influence over. If the prisoners wanted T-bone steaks that thick, we got them. We had holidays for Attica. Whatever we went after, we got. We had a newspaper called the Black Pride, and it was published and sent out, paid for by the government, and sent out throughout America. It was a quarterly paper, but it was a very good paper. And if you go online and Google it, Black Pride newsletter, you'll find it. But I learned how to organize. I learned political education because we had some extensive political debates in Marion, and we studied. That was the only group that I've been a part of where we critically studied all 3 volumes of Das Kapital. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. We went through it page by page by page so that everybody was on the same level.
What's the name of that?
Das Kapital, Karl Marx. And it's a very difficult book too. So, but books were available. I have a library, a personal library of about 2,000 books. And the prison, the administration will allow me space to keep this library, and I can open it up and I can have books and check them out. All that's gone today. You can't do that anymore. You can't read Frantz Fanon in prison anymore. You can't read most of what W.B. Du Bois wrote. James Baldwin. All those books are censored today. When I was in prison, you could read all that. But anyway, I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to say, remember all those brothers that are still locked up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
That food is smelling so good that I'm gonna have to hurry things up because that's gonna be next on the agenda. So I'm gonna move it on a little bit faster. But I move to respond to what Brother Beasley just said, because it's about turning defeats into victories, about turning deficit into assets. So even though he was in transit most of his time, there was a whole crop of young men who were always in transit. Their letters would never catch up with them. They kept them in Marion, Texarkana, El Reno, Leavenworth, moving all the time. But that became an asset to the brothers in prison because they became the network. They spread the word. They brought the newspaper. They brought the news. They kept us all on track. So even though that was a punishment, we found a way to make it into an asset. And so I just want to commend the brother for helping enlighten us on that. I'm just here to say one thing about 3 days in the life of SNCC. I have prepared a full speech, but I'm going to make it into a handout to everybody to take because I'm listening the initiatives and projects that we carried on in SNCC from 1965 to 1969. But I want to highlight just one activity, and that was a 3-day siege of the County Welfare Office.
Yes.
That was a day in April after the death of Dr. King. And I think it was in April or May of 1968 when brothers from SNCC and sisters from SNCC went to the welfare office to explore, see what was going on down there. There was a bill being contemplated at that time called the Civil Rights Act of 1968 that LBJ was signed into law later on. So we went to find out what that was about because it was supposed to be dealing with housing, public housing, and welfare rights and things like that. So we went to find out firsthand what is going on in these welfare offices. It was not planned to do anything but just to learn and explore. When we got there, we saw all kind of mistreatments going on. There's a program called Aid to Families with Dependent Children.
Yes.
They would only receive $88 a month to families of 4 or more. It doesn't matter. And we found people who were blind, who were depended on the state government for aid. They were being denied privileges, denied their rights, denied their franchises, and denied their receiving welfare aid.
Yeah.
But we went in there just to learn, and we ended up staying there for 3 days. 3 days and 2 nights. And when we came out of there, we came out of there armed with some new leaders. Ruth Jefferson, Jackie Harris, people like that who said, we're going to stay with you, we're going to fight. And they did. And they formed a chapter in Dallas called the National Welfare Rights Organization, Dallas chapter.
Yes.
Because of that, I'm able to show you, I just got this article from Susanna today. It said welfare sit-in ends in 3 days. But you don't see on the above, it says victory claim. Because we went in there, and after 3 days, we came out with guaranteed raise and receipts for all people on AFDC from $88 a month to $188 a month, which was a 200% increase almost. We came out of there with an understanding that we can fight, we can win, and that we had young sisters and brothers who could work together and carry on the fight. Just delighted with Ruth Jefferson and Jackie Harris and what they did. Because they didn't just say this is the end, they said this is the beginning. They went in there with perms and straight hair, came out with afros. And fighting as warriors. They had children to feed, so they were making sacrifices that could contest and end their getting welfare recipients, getting food for their families. And so they made courageous stands, and they continued to fight. But SNCC was not alone. There was Ed Harris, Charles Beasley, Eddie Harris, Quincy Williams, people like that who were in that office. They coming to stay for 1 day, or a few hours, and we understand 3 days. And outside of us, marching around, keeping the police off of us were students from SMU, from Bishop College, clergymen from all over the city, the Black Citizens for Justice, Law, and Order, all these organizations that said, you're not going to hurt them, you're not going to take them out. And so the Dallas County legislators from Texas, who are Dallas County representatives, sat down with us and said, what can we do to bring some peace and justice? And they forced this legislation through to raise the welfare limits to $188 a month. And so it was through that pressure, through that fight, through that stand, through the sacrifices of people who were directly affected by that fight, making a difference in their own lives. I'm going to call the names of those who were in SNCC, who are either with us today or no longer with us, but their names, because it was all through these efforts, their sacrifices, young men and young women who gave up a lot, made sacrifices about their families, about jobs, about security, about even their life.
That's correct.
And one of those is Jesse Arredondo, Charles Beasley, Fred Bell, Mike Dodd, Curtis Gaines, Edward Harris, Eddie Harris, Jackie Harris, Charlie Paul Henderson, better known as Khalif Hassan, Wadeen Henderson, Jackie McMillan Hill, Bertha Hooks, who we call Fuji Mama, Ruth Jefferson, Felicia Johnson, Matthew Donald Johnson, Dietrich Lewis, Lafayette Locke, Mickey McGuire, Pierre Doc McGuire, Eva Partee McMillan, Catherine McMillan, and the Soul Patrol from St. Peter's Academy, Mike Morris, Betty Pondexter, Donald Ray, Quincy Williams, John Henry Woods, Yusef Yeldell, and a sister, I can't get their last name, Diana, who was a young woman who worked downtown, became our fundraiser, because she allowed us as a person who helped take plasma from your body and turn it into dollars. So sometimes we'd have no money, we'd go there and give a plasma and fill out with a few dollars to help fight another day. I just want to say I'm honored to be here today, and I'm going to hand out this list. It'll be available at the reception table for you to see and take home with you. And as Brother Keaton mentioned earlier, there will be an ongoing process. We have people like Emma Rogers in the house. Dr. Harry Edwards, we have Dr. Robert Ellison, people who have institutions and centers where you can learn this history. And you should take your children there, your students, your friends, your neighbors to visit these institutions. And we'll be a part of that struggle too. We're going to close out with making this really an intergenerational thing. No more just the Fred Sanfords and Mom Mableys of the world. But we're going to deal with a little more. So I just want to say a word about the young person who's going to come up next and close us out before we eat. There's a group here called Young Leaders Strong City. People like Sarah Mercuria, Amber Sims, Robert Esteban, are people who formed this group, and they have been doing it for like at least 5 years. And this young lady is going to come up next, has been a part of this group for at least 3, maybe 4 years. And she is here today to help share some of her spirit and her intelligence and her intuition with us. Earlier today, she was involved in a competition right down the street at George Allen Courthouse. She's fighting to learn how to defend and how to prosecute the law. So she's able to not only think imaginatively and creatively, but also use academics and learning and critical analysis to do things as well. I had a chance to hear her speak. She also participated in the Malcolm X ceremony at Pan-African Connections a few years ago. And I'm just impressed. I'm honored that she could be with us today. She's I think the class of 2020 don't tell me.
Tell me old.
Tell me. Lake Highlands High School. And she'll be getting out in the world more. So we're going to see more and learn more from her, and she's going to be contributing. I hope some of the young people with us today will also see that this is not the end of something, but the beginning of something for your involvement, for your participation. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to Zelarius Burks. Come on down, sir. I have this artifact in my hand because in African society and African culture, it's used in healing circles, it's used in rites of passages from boyhood to manhood, from girlhood to womanhood. It's also used in burial, and the person that carries this stick is the one you listen to. So I'm going to pass this stick to her, and let's have our full attention devoted to her words and her spirit.
Thank you. Good morning. Can y'all hear me good?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I said good morning. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. How y'all doing? Okay, good. Okay, let me just introduce myself first. My name is Zelarius. I'm 17 years old. I go to Lake Highlands High School. I'm a junior. I graduate in 2020. My hobbies consist of, I'm a stepper. If you don't know what stepping is, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, do y'all know what stepping is? Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, I really don't.
It's like pew sack.
Yeah, exactly. So I step, I do poetry, which I'm going to perform a poem for y'all today. I'm in mock trial, which is what I was doing earlier today, and like I was on defense. I don't know how to explain like what I do, but I think that it's very important to politically educate yourself. So that's basically what I'm trying to do. And I'm also in debate because like I had like a bad temper in junior high school, and I realized that. Is it okay if I like sit this down right here? Because I talk with my hands. Okay, so I realized that like I had a really bad temper in junior high school, so I was like, okay, I'm continuously arguing with people, so maybe I should like argue for a purpose. So I joined debate, and like, cause like honestly, I got tired of being looked at as like the crazy mad black girl. You know what I mean? Like I got fed up. So like I joined debate, and now I'm the black girl that's gonna bring you some statistics. So thank you. So I know that in here, as I look around the room, because I need glasses. So as I look around the room, I see people of different age groups, different. I know we're culturally diverse. We're culturally diverse, but like I think one word that like that we all know is ghetto. Y'all know what ghetto? Y'all know that word, ghetto? And like, yeah. Okay. So the title of this poem that I'll be reciting for you is called Ghetto. And I wrote this poem for the Young Leaders Strong City event that I've been involved with for 2 years. It's only been 2 years. And yeah, this is the second. So, I hope you enjoy it. Ghetto. Now, can y'all hear me? Yeah. Because like I can't hear myself. Okay. Ghetto. A noun. A part of a city, especially a slum area occupied by a minority group or groups. Verb. to put in, restrict, or isolate in a segregated area or group. The ghetto is where fearless little black boys grow. The ghetto is where grandmother prays that her baby isn't next. The ghetto is when bad times come, she tells herself that God has them long as she has faith and that this is just a test. Where young girls mistake love for abusive lust, where drug dealers can be our closest friends, classmates, or even fathers. The ghetto is often referred to as a state of mind, but in my opinion, if grandma opened her Bible right now, she couldn't even escape this place if she tried. Where food stamps are probably the only good thing to come out of this month, the ghetto is where we say R.I.P. Tupac like we knew him on a first name basis, like we knew him personally, like he was our own flesh and blood. The ghetto, or the people in the ghetto are often misunderstood. The ghetto is the babies ain't got no milk for their cereal, so I hope my sister gonna let me borrow some. The ghetto, people in the ghetto don't give a damn about no politics. People in the ghetto care about survival. Mothers in the ghetto worry about where their baby's next meal gonna come from, and rent is due next month, and daddy just got laid off. Some girls in the ghetto worry about how she gonna tell her mother that man sneaks in her room at night. How the girls in the ghetto worry about how is she going to tell her mother that she might be pregnant when she never believed her that man snuck in her room at night. Don't nobody fix the ghetto. They just move away. The ghetto is talking like this because ain't nobody got time for school because the light's about to be off. The ghetto is often referred to as having a slave mentality. Just another way to blame victims for a crooked system. Don't nobody fix the ghetto. They just gonna move away.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. And since I talked a lot about like young children there, because like we all know like how important the future is, right? And like, okay, I gotta walk around. Okay, so we all know how important the future is, right? And it's like, it's crazy because there are like so many young kids in here. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but like you're on your tablets and stuff like that. But like, I just want you to like look at me and listen like for a minute, okay? Like, being a young black or being a young person in America can be so hard. Because I know school is hard. You don't want to come home and do homework. Why? Because they just took 7 hours out of your day already and now they want to add another 45 minutes. I know it's irritating. Like, I feel it. But like, it's very important to educate yourself, whether that be politically, whatever sport you want to play. And just because you are a black boy in America does not mean that you have to play football. It does not mean that you have to play basketball. Okay? Okay? And I know I'm extra tall, and I tried out for basketball only because of the pressure, and I did not like it. Okay? There are a lot of things that are being offered that you don't see. So like, since you have a tablet, since you have a phone, since your mom has a phone, Google what you like. Like Google what's something for 8-year-olds. Maybe you're a girl and I'm not sure if they have like little football leagues for girls, but I know they have Powerpuff football. If they don't, I'll start a team for you, baby. Okay? So like we have a little league for my step team. Like there's so much things that you can do in order to make an impact. Okay? You don't have to be a debater like me because it takes up a lot of time and a lot of effort. All I'm saying is educate yourself in whatever you like and make sure that you make a change for yourself and your future generations. And one more thing, power to the people. Thank you.
Is this it?
There you go. Sorry, I told you I need glasses.
What a wonderful presentation. This has been a wonderful, awesome program. And now we are here for what we've all been waiting for, right? That's to eat. No, I'm just joking. But at any rate, they have done a wonderful job. The presentation was just awesome. That's all I can say. South Soul Rep was wonderful, and we're so pleased for the speakers here. Give them another hand. We have really witnessed years, I can even say decades of a struggle. Just decades, not years, decades. And this presentation today was so awesome, and I think it was so unique. And once again, we want to keep pressing for the history and for the preservation of history. That's one thing that I'm a big advocate for, which is the organization I founded, Remembering Black Dallas, and we do have some members here of Remembering Black Dallas. And we'd also like for you to join Remembering Black Dallas as well. And this is a piece of our history. It's so hidden in the city, we almost have to scratch it out of the ground just to see it, or just to hear it. So that's why this Black Power movement presentation was just absolutely rare and awesome to me. I don't know about to you, but to me, it was just one of the most awesome, rare piece of Dallas Black history that won't be seen every day. And also, they are giving, they're doing a display, keeping the archives here for us to use and go back, because you're not going to find some of this on the internet. You're going to have to come here to this place where they have left it. And hopefully it'll be digitized in some fashion. Now, as we get ready to prepare for the food, I would like for someone to come up and give us a prayer. You raise your hand. Come on. Yes. Yes. Come on. Yes. I like that energy and that excitement. I'm not used to people taller than me, though.
How's it going? Before we pray, let me introduce myself. My name is Antoine. I am the grandson of Fahim Nika. Thank you all for coming out, and through the arts and music and things that I do, I'm going to continue to fight on. All power to the people. All power to the people. I always wanted to do that. All right. Let's pray. Lord, thank you. Thank you for bringing us all here under one roof. Thank you for continuing to fight for us and with us and by our side. Thank you for the fallen warriors that you have next to you that is continuing to look upon us. Thank you for the people and my peers my age that is continuing to grow and fight with the people that pass the baton. Lord, let this food be nourishing to our bodies, and thank you. Just thank you. In Jesus' name I pray.
Okay. We have also Donald Payne has reminded me to mention the African American Genealogy Interest Group that meets here in the library. Third Saturday every month. Before we go prepare for the food, let me say this, please. Let's let our elders go through, and also our special guests first. And we just let you know, we didn't know how many people were coming, so everybody gets one piece of chicken. And if there's some left, we'll be glad to give you the rest. You can have many beans that you like. But we're just short today, so be understanding. This is just a repast, just something to hold you till you get back to your house. May God keep you and bless you.
This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below, or like, follow, or subscribe to us and get notices of all our videos. We love it, even when you call.